Good evening and welcome to the Selectmen meeting. If you would please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, and for those of you watching from home, today is Wednesday, June 7th, the Board of Selectmen meeting. First item on our agenda is the Water Commissioners had requested to meet with us. Mr. Kruger.
Well, we started, we were approached by Eddie Madero's owner of Beacon Trailer Park to put meters in. And my first meeting that I had after being elected, couldn't understand what was going on in the trailer park. So after the first meeting, I asked for more information on what was really going on. And it was weird to find out that there was no minutes to the rent control board that were being filed anywhere. I couldn't find out any information. When I got a hold of the rent control board, they wanted to know what I wanted to know, what specific meetings I wanted and stuff like that. So I couldn't read for myself and see what was going on. When I asked Eddie Maderos, the rent control board, and I asked Kerry in our department to give me everything that they knew about what was going on for the last 10 years. So I got a stack of stuff from Eddie, I got a whole bunch from Kerry, and I got one sheet of paper from the rent control board. I'll show you, I got one correspondence with just one paper. Here it is right here. That was it, that's all I got. Okay, so that's all I had to go on. So then we continued on trying to put information together. So I also got a hold of Brockton and asked them about the sewer bill. I was trying to figure out if what Eddie was telling us was true or not. Was there enough money coming into the park? Did he get enough rent increases? So with the information that I gathered, okay, in 2006, there was a broken meter in that pit since about 1948. And the water bill at that time was $4,050. That was only $60.45 per unit that was in there. And when I put the meter in, I had warned Ed, better watch out. You better let the rent control board know, because you're now going to be paying excess, which you've never paid before, and I have no idea how much water you're using. Well, the bill went 2007 and went from $4,000 to $22,000. 2008, it went to 17. It was 17,000. 2009, you see it there, 19,000. And 2010, it was 14,000.
Sorry,
All that
are you
time-
talking West Bridgewater meter or Brockton meter?
West Bridgewater.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you're talking about this sewer.
Everything is West Bridgewater there.
All right,
Brockton uses our meter, our readings. They call us and we give them the reading. They
Okay.
never read it that I know of themselves.
okay.
They get it from us. So they call and we give them the readings monthly. So by 2011, they finally got an increase, but by that time, according to my figures, Eddie was behind by $56,990. That's up there in that top right-hand corner. That he hadn't had any increases. All he had originally built into it, they must have had $4,050. So what I did is I took the rent increase that he got in 2011, he got nothing in 2012. He got $3.74 in 2013. In 2014, he got $41.52. So if you took that times 12 months a year, 67 units, you would have ended up with a total increases, taking the $4,050, $514,255 that he received in increases. But if you look on the left-hand column, we sent him bills for $304,000. That left him $253,938 in the, to pay the rest of the increases that he had. I couldn't get any sewer bills. They're like, no, nobody would give me any sewer bills. I don't know what, but I did get finally that he owes, and I don't know if he made any payments in 10 years or not, but he owes $774,000. So if he got bills in the last 10 years for $774,000, and we sent him bills for $304,000, that's $1 million. So he only got increases for $500,000. So what had happened was, when, a couple of years ago, he owed us $80,000. And that meant that the ratepayers had to absorb that. Everybody in West Bridgewater paid that $80,000 because they didn't have the money. Well, finally, he paid up the money. Well, now it's fallen out of surplus. So right now, we're even. So what we wanted to do as a water department is make sure that this doesn't happen again. So we asked the Rent Control Board and the town council and everybody to get together and see if we could come up with some type of solution to this whole problem. And it ended up that town council wanted us to take them to court and fight about it there, and I said, we don't want to go to court, okay? I don't know why two boards just can't get together and figure out what's wrong. We're sending them bills and they're not getting paid. And nope, couldn't do that. So then they said that they had passed a bylaw stating that if he owed any money, he couldn't even apply for a rent increase. So I had said to town council, you put him behind the 8 ball. How is, you changed the rules 5 years into it after he got in the hole, now you changed the rules on him. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. You changed the rules because now he can't even make an application to get a rent increase. So I guess what Donnie and I are here to explain to you is that there's a problem at the Beacon Trailer Park, and the water department's going to get stuck with possibly another big bill in the future, and the ratepayers are going to end up paying it. When the water goes in that park and Ed doesn't pay the bill, we still have to pay the chemicals, the electricity, and everything else. And who pays it? The people who pay their bill on time, not the people who don't pay, okay? That just sits out there as that, but the Department of Revenue says we have to collect from enough cash to cover whatever we spend. So that means everybody who does pay on time has to pay more. So I guess we're just here to explain to you, there's a problem. There's nothing we can do about it, and it's gonna end up on the backs of the ratepayers. So, and then I had received a letter, which I think is a joke, from town council about his feelings, but I think he was arrogant, okay?
Well, we're not gonna talk about
Okay, we're not
personalities,
gonna-
because he's not here,
We don't
but.
have to talk about it, but I'm just telling you.
Now, you had mentioned to me that you wanted to, or the board voted, or you wanted to, or Ed wanted an individual meter? No,
I
okay.
don't think we're gonna, Ed wants us to put meters in, okay? That's a tough one, because those units will have a lot of freeze-up problems, because they really don't have cellars. They would have to be built into the unit. It's a little different, it's not like a public street, there isn't a lot of shut-off valves and stuff like that. And the other interesting thing about this whole thing is, if you look at 2017, you see the water bill for $58,000? That water bill is only 6 months. They're gonna get a bill this year for $116,000, the rate they're going. So I asked Wayne to go up there. That meter can be read every 10 minutes. You put the wand on it, and it keeps track of the usage. And I wanted to know is that meter running continuously like there's a water leak? Or does it really vary up and down? If it varies up and down, water leaks don't vary up and down. They just pour water out at a steady stream. About 4 o'clock in the morning, it cuts way back. So that tells me there's no water main leak. There's probably toilet leaks, or people are just using a lot of water up there. Interesting thing also, we looked at the Matfield Woods. Beacon Trailer Park has a third of the number of units, and they use more water than the other park. We can't figure it out. There's a problem. Not sure how it can be solved.
Can I interject here?
Oh, what?
When
Well-
you're through?
Do you have anything else, anything you want to add?
Yes. First of all, you know, I want to be clear on this. We're not down here fighting Eddie Maderas' battles. We're here as water commissioners, and the only thing that we're interested in is the water department, and we get paid for the water up there. And I'm gonna speak personally as a water commissioner. I'm not in favor of putting meters in those homes up there. Now, they came out of the woodwork about, they didn't want meters, and I don't wanna go through that. I want that situation squared away, because like Rick said, we're gonna get burnt up there, one way or the other. When he gets a bill for $117,000 a year, and he can't afford to pay it, it's gonna come off the backs of all the rest of us. So we gotta do something up there.
Well, it's also
not
a-
gonna be individual meters, and we're not getting anywhere with the rent control board neither. So that's why we're down here. There's rumors out there that we're fighting Ed Maderas' battles, we're fighting the water department's battles, that's only.
And that I had used my position to help one individual, okay? Just so happens, there's only 2 trailer parks in the town. One of them has a problem, one of them doesn't. So I don't know how you can even address a problem when it's only one. So, and I was also criticized because the old board, before I got there, just went along with whatever was going on. And because I was asking questions, because I didn't see any numbers, nobody had any figures. Everybody was just saying, oh yeah, he must be getting enough money. Oh yeah, he must be. I says, where's the numbers? You know, there's always, like Donnie says, there's his story, her story, and the truth, okay? And I was just looking for the numbers, and I want to look at it, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So for all the numbers that I got, this is all I got, all right? But it doesn't make any sense to me. So that's all and I'm just letting you guys know, we got a problem as
Well,
a town.
I think, like anything, if and when rent control, I mean, I'm not going to criticize them, they're not here, I don't know the whole story, but regardless of that, if there's something wrong with the water usage, everybody in that park is paying a pretty penny, because eventually it'll be passed through rent control. So if somebody is wasting water on purpose, everybody in the park ultimately pays the price. Because if Mr. Maderos goes in for a rent increase based on a $116,000 water bill, that's gonna get passed on to the residents, and they can't afford it either.
One lady from the park had a good point. She says, why should I be paying if the rent control board gives an increase for retroactively? I just moved in 2 years ago. Why should I be paying for hey, I'm a water commissioner. I don't know. But
Right.
this is a problem. It is a problem. And it's only gonna get bigger. So somebody needs to address it. I don't know how, you know.
Well, let me say something.
We'll get to you.
All right. How the hell are you gonna monitor it now? You know, and I don't think, you know, the answer is the meters, but how are you gonna monitor where the problem is out there and who's using this water? At least when you have the individual meter, the little thing spins, and you know if you're drawing water all the time. How the hell can you isolate this thing
one of our
to know
problems-
what's causing the problem? There's your big problem right there. How are you gonna know where that shortage is coming from? You know, it sounds like you got an open pipe that continually runs.
One day, one of our men went down to read the water meter and was spinning like crazy. So he went and got Ed. He says, Ed, look at this meter, it's spinning like crazy. These numbers are huge, you're gonna have a huge bill. So he goes, hey, they're private homes, I can't go in them. He said, well, you better do something because you're gonna get a huge bill. So I guess Ed, from what I was told, went around, banged on doors, fixed toilets and that. He called up, and our man went back, and they opened up the pit, and they looked in, meter stopped. Went a little bit, stopped. So that tells you that whatever he did, he fixed toilets and adjusted flappers and stuff like that. It worked. Well, shortly thereafter, things go on like crazy again. So, yeah, it is a problem where the individual isn't getting the bill himself, but our problem is we can't lien one of those units. They don't have a tax bill. So
Right,
if they don't
right.
pay the bill, they could just,
Yeah, well, I know.
they don't have to pay.
It's just gonna tell.
Yeah, that's.
You mean that's why you're not in favor of individual billing, because there's no
Right.
repercussions, really?
That's why originally we put master meters outside of the park, so that water went in and then it was up to the park owner to worry about it from there. It's private property. The roads are private, we don't fix the water mains and stuff like that. So if he doesn't fix a water leak, it's gonna show up on his water bill. Well, that has its good points and that has its bad points, I guess, because now you got people who, they have a toilet leak and they're just thinking that everybody else is paying for it, not them. They'll let it leak.
The thing is, it's a double thing, and then whatever you use in water, you're gonna pay storage.
Yeah, double,
And
double
you
or
double it, you
triple.
double it, so you get a double bill.
And again, ultimately, if rent control is working the way it's supposed to be, all that gets passed on to the residents. So ultimately, you guys wind up paying more if somebody's just frivolously wasting water, or if there's a leak somewhere, which, if you fix the toilets and it's not running anymore, shows that,
I was asking them the other day when they came into the meeting, was there a retired plumber or something that lived in the units that could help some of the other people who don't know anything about it? You know, just go around and see if he could just spec them out, you know? And our guys will go up there and help. You know, the guys say if people call, they'll go up and look at them and stuff. They don't ignore them. They do what they can do, but it's still private property, you know? And we do that for any customer. Anybody who calls in town, they got a water leak or something and they can't figure out what it is, they'll help.
I really don't,
Yeah.
excuse me,
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor. I really don't think the problem is in the main, because if it was, it would be coming through the blacktop up there. I mean, I've seen water breaks before,
Yeah.
they shoot through the blacktop, or the big puddles, and there's nothing up there, so.
right. Okay.
And those aren't big leaks, those could be little.
So-
Just for the record, if you could let Tracy know your name and,
Frank Babin, I'm a resident of Westbridge Landing. One of my purposes of being here is to show you where we can find some money to pay the water bill, which I think you'll be happy with there, Mr. Kruger.
Okay.
well, I think that's, again, when we don't control the water department, we appoint the rent control
Right.
board.
I'm more or less
So that's-
talking to him on
yeah.
this anyway for what I'm doing.
But that's really something, not for our meeting, that's something really, if you want to meet with them or even talk one-on-one with one of the water, you can't meet with both of them.
Okay, so
Because that's a
I'm talking to
conflict,
Mr.
so
Kruger then.
it would have to be a
All right.
one-on-one. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, this isn't really the avenue for that, though.
We can do it here.
You
Can't
can,
talk with him here about it, how we can save money and so forth,
you can,
pay the water bill?
you can, but this
Talk to
isn't
him
a, this isn't a selectman issue that we're gonna find resolution with. So I'm recommending you do is sit down with Mr. Kruger one-on-one
Okay.
and go over your issues with the water department.
Of how we can help pay for it is why I'm here, to help him out and
Yes.
help us out too. is the
Not that I
reason
don't wanna hear it. If you want me to sit with you and Mr. Kruger, I'd be happy to, but, it's not, we don't have jurisdiction over it.
I'm here. Yeah.
So I prefer, it'd be more productive if we were one-on-one with you and Mr. Kruger.
So in my case, if I want to let you know where 42% of our rent goes to, would you be interested in that or not?
It's still not a selectman issue.
It isn't. Okay. Well, then,
And it's not our issue either.
yeah, I know.
It's
that.
not our issue, that's a rent control thing.
Yeah.
All I'm interested in is the water department
Okay.
getting
Well-
their money, and I'm just afraid with the way the bills are going right now, they're not gonna be able to pay them, and I just wanna head it off. You know,
That's what I'm.
government usually works like, we wait for a crisis and then we try to solve it, we try to figure out what went wrong, and I'm just trying to head this one off.
This is why I'm trying to show you that I can show you in here, which I can't do in front of the board here evidently, but I can show you personally after this meeting ends or whatever, what I have to help you pay the bill, for the water bill to be paid, if you're interested.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know how that can help, but, you
Well,
know.
that can help, because
Yeah,
I can tell
okay.
you the reasons why, but I thought probably that the
The
And
rent
that's
control
also
will
something that really should be
not
talked about
help
at rent control.
The rent
meeting.
control.
rent control
No, we
board.
went to them, they didn't wanna listen
Yeah,
to
they
us.
just said that, we
He
can't open
pays,
this
he
up.
owes too much money. No,
As long as he owes money, we can't open
Can't
this
do
up
nothing.
for.
Well, that's all been resolved, so that's,
It has been.
yes.
So I can bring that up with Mr. Oliveria.
Yep.
And the 13th when he holds that meeting.
Correct.
Okay. So I won't take up that much of your time, Mr. Kruger, but afterwards, I'd like to give you just about 10 minutes of my time to show you where we're gonna find some money to pay you,
Okay, good.
okay? Because I got a lot of it in there.
I see you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
I usually monitor what people tell me and everything and what they say. Back in December 20th, and I guess it ran for 2 or 3 weeks, and supposedly, from what I gather, that it was a valve that burst, but the water was running for 2 or 3 weeks. We had a house on Madison that, I guess, the second one in, that pipe broke in there, and I guess it flooded the whole floor, you know? Then over to, on Christian Way, there was a young person that was in the hospital because he had a really bad condition, and his pipe froze, and that was running for 2 or 3 days. So, and they had to replace the whole floor and things like that.
that water come out the front door and down the stairs.
That was recent.
You know, so these things that are our concern is that when you're notified that these things are happening, you need to get on them, you know, you don't let them ride out. And now, as far as the toilet tank things and everything, that's very much possible, because some of them, the flaps dry, I've had to replace some of them on mine, you know, here and there, you know. And once it starts leaking, I do it, you know. And some of the people in there don't know how to do it because they're elderly and on fixed income and they can't afford a plumber. And so, you know, and then, you know, but there are cases where most of the houses in there are pretty much tightened up with toilets and faucets without any leaks. And you're only gonna get a couple of them where people are really elderly. And so, or don't have money.
Mr.
So-
Kruger, I understand why you don't want meters in there for the 69 homes that are in the park, because with the meters, you have to do 69 separate billings. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
but that
See,
isn't,
You
that,
know,
That's not it.
See,
That's-
And
that's-
then if
that's
the
nothing.
meters do
We can't
come into
do
the
that.
park, and you take somebody that lives in the park who doesn't have that much money and they can't pay their water bill, and then they can't pay the meter bill, and then you, I would imagine, have to put a lien on the property. Is that
We
how it
can't,
goes?
we
The
can't.
home?
This is
Yeah,
private
put 'em in,
property.
Can't put a lien on the home?
No, we can't.
It's
because
personal
we can't-
property.
Yeah.
see, there's people on fixed income all over the town. I mean, about 60% of our population is like over 55 years old.
Yeah.
There's people on fixed income everywhere. A lot of people are trying to hang on to their houses, they, you know, 80 years old and trying to stay at home. I think it's too bad that, you know, if this bill doesn't get paid, that we're gonna have to ask that person to pay a little bit more because
I agree.
somebody,
Right.
so that's all I'm
Yeah.
looking out for.
But you would put a lien on their home, wouldn't you,
No,
at that time?
can't.
If they can't pay, yeah, that's what
Yes, you
happens, we put a lien on their
You
house.
can't do that in the
We
mobile
can't- we
home
can't do
park,
that in the
put a
home.
lien on there.
Well, there's just no tax bill.
My suggestion would be is that if it's a community thing and watching the water, I don't know why you can't put some kind of a readout that people can easily read up at the front entrance there and monitor it. If you start seeing that thing going around like crazy, then they can call the water department and say there's something going on. You know, But anyways, it's gonna have, it should be a community thing to realize what they're using. I mean, that's important to know, because that just brings in more awareness of them saving water.
Well, that's something the association could ask for the, you know,
Well, these
the
are
water
just some
usage and put up
ideas,
a
you know
nice.
what I mean?
Well, I agree with you. I think like
And
anything.
each home should have their own little meter that's not from the water department, but something that you can buy online and hitch up to you and just monitor to see what you are doing. And if you see something happening more than it's supposed to, then then we can all use all these readings and compare them and then see where the water is really being wasted. And I'll bet you any money, as they say, it's drum tight, but the pipes under the ground, after all that heavy trucks going in there with all that soil back then, and a lot of other things that are heavy bringing in those houses and stuff, you know, you can't tell me that doesn't have an effect on things underneath it. You know, and if you're trying to connect a new home into a pipe and everything, and you start using a backhoe, you gotta be careful how you use it, because you could jar it and cause other leaks up the line.
Well, Anthony, do you have anything to add?
That's
I
my
just-
feelings, you know, that's what I feel.
I just would ask that, David, would you mind explaining the change last night that was made by the rent control?
Sure. You're welcome. Mr. Chairman, could I just ask the gentleman that was speaking if he could just say his name and his address for the record, please?
Oh, I'm Robert Austin, the president of the association.
So the Rent Control Board met last night, and they took an affirmative vote to change their regulations to allow Mr. Maderos to repetition. So that way we can take a look at all of the numbers and make sure that it's fair and accurate for the residents and for the park owner. They'll be sending a letter to the association and to Mr. Maderos as well. Then they'll have a subsequent meeting, and they'll have to relook at the numbers at that point. Hopefully, that's going to solve the issue going forward.
So they can redo it all, and if there was an increase, that would go, and if we had some credits coming to us, that would affect us also.
That's correct. So
They have a lot of those.
the fact that Mr. Maderos will have to repetition, that means that he doesn't get the benefit of only repetitioning for one line item. The entire contract will have to be looked at,
And
which will give you,
What if he decides he doesn't want to repetition?
well, then he's not going to cover the expense for the water that Mr. Krug is talking about. So he's going to have to obviously repetition, and at that point, it'll give you as an association an opportunity to be able to air the grievances and the concerns that you have.
Great, that's a great change.
But the reason the change, really everything in West Bridgewater is up to par. Payments are being made, water bills paid, so the town of West Bridgewater is satisfied. I think the only regulation, the only thing that changed is the city of Brockton's outstanding bill doesn't affect West Bridgewater and doesn't
You're-
affect.
You're talking about their sewer bill.
Correct.
Which was, as of yesterday, $780,000.
Right, but that's like a private business deal between the owner and
That's because of
Brockton.
Brockton.
That shouldn't hold up a West Bridgewater regulation.
Right,
So
right.
that's where there was some miscommunication or
Yeah.
misunderstanding, but as far
Mr. Krug
as,
has said, the sewer bills can be 2 to 3 times more than the water bill, is that?
this was their meeting last night, Mr. Azak.
Okay, all right.
What's that?
Sewer bills would be 2 to 3 times more than the water bill, is that what you just said?
Yeah, I think so. I know in Duxbury, I'll tell you, you were talking about the water leaking in the house and that. My house got flooded and it destroyed their whole interior. I had to do the whole house over. In Duxbury, because the meter got soaking wet and got destroyed, they sent me an estimated bill for $600 for the water they figured that flooded my house. So,
Kicking you while you're down, huh?
yeah, they just said, well, you must have used at least $600 to do that much damage.
Well, I think the rent control, I mean, this is good numbers to pass on to the rent control board, and you'll be able to voice your opinion during, if he
Yeah.
files for an increase, the association will be notified.
Correct.
Which is something I think David made sure, they said, make sure you notify the residents and the owner, that everything's in line.
Great,
So that's definitely where you want to make sure you go with whatever you have to present.
the 13th.
I don't know when their meeting is.
Yeah, I don't know what, all I could tell you is a letter is being drafted as we
Oh,
speak.
okay.
It will be sent to your association, will be sent to Mr. Maderos. And it's up to Mr. Maderos then to petition. The assumption is he will, and whatever meeting that is, it will obviously be posted, and then you'll be able to bring up your concerns as
Be on
well.
the computer for the meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, for the agenda and so forth.
Absolutely.
Just so that you know, is I'm basically like an information spot, I hear everything, you know, so I have to separate what's gossip and what is real, and that's pretty much what I've heard, and it sounds pretty much on target, some of that stuff. So I think that when something like this happens, there should be a quick response.
Okay.
Because every minute is a gallon.
Well, I think our board's satisfied with it, and when somebody's looking into it and it's being taken care of. So I guess our concerns are over at this point. Hopefully, somebody can just make sure that the water department gets paid and water department's happy.
Very good.
That's all we need.
Thank you all for coming in.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, next.
Take care, Tony. I know, how are you?
Yeah, is there anywhere we can talk to you, Mr. Krueger? You got another office here or something?
Down the hall, there's an office, conference room.
Take your water.
Next, Pan Mass Challenge fundraiser.
Yeah, we'll see you
So,
now.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Comedian's
So,
office here?
No, down the hall on the left.
So, Mr. Chairman, the lady that petitioned was Claire Conroy. We did not hear back from her as to whether she's coming in, so your choice. I can either speak to what is on the agenda and provide you the information, or if you would like to, Mr. Lambert is here, we can address Mr. Lambert's concerns, allow Ms. Conroy a little bit additional time, and if she still doesn't come in, I'll speak to it at that point.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll move on if that's all right with everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, Keith Lambert, you're up.
Hi there.
Hello.
How are you? So, I'm sure you're aware that I sell the flowers over at Aaron Realty's property. And the only thing we were waiting on was a lease, which I received this at like 4 o'clock. I got a copy for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Basically, this isn't a lease, it's just an agreement that they're agreeing to, we would kind of negotiate on what we were gonna do for rent, so I'm basically going to, be working it out through the end of, I think we had to work out the exact dates, but it's gonna be like July 1st, and I brought a couple in, I don't know if you know what these things are, but they're just little fidget spinners, and that's.
Oh, I've been there.
I saw us over there, I don't know.
Saw you over there. My kids beg me every day to stop.
I mean, it's just, they're coming out with like, you know, there's licensed sports ones. I just got the Patriots ones in today, and like people are just have collections. And I've never had a product that we could sell on the corner that, you know, other than like when the Patriots won the Super Bowl kind of thing, and the flowers on the holidays. But for a novelty item, these things are just going crazy. So yeah, we would like to see if we could extend it. I know you had allowed us to extend through Memorial Day with our regular permit that we had from the flowers. So I reapplied for the building permit and I resubmitted the application.
All right.
This to me seems like it's no longer transient, being such a long period of time. I feel like it wouldn't be what the definition of transient means. Like, I can see transient being a few weekends a year, but extending it through, what's the expiration date you're looking for?
July 2nd.
And it's every day?
Well, we don't usually set up in the rain. Really make for good sales.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, if we could do it for Father's Day weekend, you know, it'd be like, what, 2 weeks? I mean, I don't know what the laws are for the transient, like, I don't know if it specifically says, you know, so many times a year, so many days, or if it's vague like that.
Honestly, I'm not sure either. David, do you have any idea if
You
there's a
know-
law on, or is it just open to interpretation?
I would say it's open to interpretation based on what I've read. I could definitively tell you there is no set days that are actually established in your local bylaw. However, I do think that Selectman Kennahan is correct, is that there's a reason why it's called transient. And just to be clear, the application says, if I'm reading this right, it looks like it's June 8th, which would be tomorrow, and it looks like July 18th, but,
Second.
all right, maybe I just,
Yeah, on this one, it looks like it was I think it was either the 15th or the 18th, but you're saying it would be through July 2nd?
Yeah, 'cause it's, yeah, it'd be July 2nd, that's what we agreed on.
Okay.
With the landlord, that's where we would go to.
Okay.
But I can shorten that, fine, I mean, this is a type of thing where it's a trend and it's gonna end at some point, I don't know when it's gonna end, I had expected it to end weeks ago, but people are still looking for these things, so I'm just, you know, trying to capitalize on that, and I don't think I'm interfering with any of the local business in town. Like, fidget store.
You know my opinion. We've been here before. I don't approve of it. I don't like the idea. I don't think our center of town should be a flea market or a yard sale, which is kind of what it turned into. When you were selling flowers originally, I went along with it. And then we were asked if you could add fidgets, and I said, well, we didn't have a board meeting, so I said, fine. And then it wound up just fidgets and baseball caps and
Well, there was-
balls or something like
One
that.
of my guys
And
put a couple things out. We took them off right away. We took them off. I apologize for that.
to me, that's not the intent. Again, I don't even agree with the intent, which I think normally a transient vendor comes in on Memorial Day weekend, sells flowers to go on a headstone, or Mother's Day, or, which I don't even agree with that. I just think it's not good for our businesses that are here 7 days a week, all year long. But I think you already know that opinion.
Well, and we do get complaints from the businesses that are in there now, and that's one of our big problems, too. If it's like, you know, if it's just like a few weekends there, but if it becomes a regular thing, and then that's what we have. We have problems because they answer up to us, because then it's, you know, you're really conducting a business, you know? And of course, there's a situation here now that, and you don't really know how long you're gonna be doing this or
Well, I
anything
mean,
else.
I could make it easy. We could just say through Father's Day weekend, because I can't, I really can't imagine it being, going on, you know, much longer than that, to be honest with you, but I thought it would have been.
And that's next weekend, right?
That would be next Sunday.
Yeah,
correct.
next
So we
weekend,
could,
yeah.
You know, tomorrow for Sunday, if it's possible.
Well, there
You know
again,
the stress I'm under with my kids that don't like me when I said I don't want it there.
I understand.
Financially, it's a good, personally, it's a good thing for me to say no, but
Right.
I think, you know, that's much more reasonable than what was presented to us.
Yeah, I don't know,
And
maybe I did put maybe I did put that, but that wasn't my intention. It was the second. Can't quite,
So just so the board is aware, it appears that Father's Day is Sunday, June 18th, just so you're aware.
That's what I'm talking about,
Right.
yeah. So it'd be
June
like
18th.
tomorrow, which is,
10 days.
yeah, so we're talking about that.
I'll make a motion to approve the license through June 18th.
Eldon, can I second it so I can tell my kids I approved it?
no, I'll second it.
All right. Uncle Eldon wins again.
And just to be clear, because this is a new permit, there will have to be another fee.
Yeah, no,
right.
I understand.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I wasn't 100% sure with the lease, like, we were back and forth, but we worked it out, so, yeah. And I have to pay another, just, you know, I pay another building permit fee too, so it's $100 for the town.
Is there any other,
Just one question on the hours.
He usually gets there around, I think he sets up around 9 in the morning, and he's done no later than 7.
Okay, I just wanted to get the
Sometimes
to them on the
6.
license.
also, I think Mallory had mentioned a restriction on signs, because in fact, right now, I think there's one of your signs on Route 106 in the middle of the road. that
There
they didn't
is?
pick up. Yeah, it's,
Oh, I'll get it, I'm
but,
sorry.
no, it might be gone by now, but you're only allowed one sign.
Yeah, right on the 10, yeah. Okay.
Is there any other concerns,
That-
questions?
No.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, honey, how many fidgets do you have? A lot. Everyone ever made? Do you have the ones that light up? Because that's my daughter's favorite.
They have ones that light up.
Oh, they light up, they twist, they turn.
I want the light up.
Pink one that lights up.
We know someone for you.
I'll be visiting.
Very good, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Oops. I don't want to get out.
All right, let's go on to warrant and Board of Selectmen business. Oh, that one's cool.
So, Mr. Chairman, do you want to do the PMC at this point?
Let's give her a little more time.
That's
We'll
fine.
come back to it at the end.
Will do.
Special town meeting, annual town meeting, make recommendations and assign readers and motions.
So what I did first, obviously, special town meeting only has one motion and one article. It is on page 16 of your packet. It is to transfer money from our existing budget to cover the snow and ice. So you would take, one, a vote on the recommendation of it, and secondly, as to who you would like to assign the reader to.
Okay, do I have a motion to put it on and recommend?
I have a motion to put it on, and it's a bill we gotta pay, so I recommend it.
All right,
Second?
motion is second. Any further question? All those in favor?
Aye.
I think it would be probably best for the acting highway superintendent, Sean, to read the motion.
Yeah.
So moved.
I have a motion is second. All those in favor? Aye.
Right.
All right.
Good, and then the next one is for your annual town meeting. So we could do this one of two ways, just so you're aware, these are already on the warrant. So tonight's votes are in reference to what the recommendations are and as to who the motion readers will be. On page 17, there is a one-sheet page of all of the motions, so, of all the articles. So if that is easier than going through the entire warrant one by one, it is whatever you prefer, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Why don't you go down them, David, and
Sure.
if we could, have David read off the quick synopsis of what the motion is, and then if anyone has any questions about it, we'll hold it, and then move at the end to recommend or take them on individually, the ones with issues.
Okay, so Article 1 is your annual reports, that's a consensus article. Number 2, so you want to do the readers at the end as well?
Yeah. No, we can do them now.
Because even these are consent articles, you might want to, like, for example, some of them are council on aging, some of them are fire. I don't know if you want the departments or if you want the selectmen. Actually, I'm sorry, this is one motion.
Right, the first one.
Right.
So the selectmen probably can do this one since
First
it's
one
one.
we'll do.
So Article 1 through 10 are all consent articles. They all deal with revolving accounts. There is no taxpayer dollars unless it's just number 1, which has to do with the annual report.
Anyone on the, I'll read that one.
So this is Jerry. Okay. Article 11 has to do with the salaries of all elected officials.
I'll take it. Yeah, okay.
Number 12 is the omnibus budget, and the finance committee normally moves that.
Okay.
Next one has to do with the exemptions allowed by the Board of Assessors. Normally, it's the Board of Assessors. Number 14 has to do with Chapter 90. Normally, again, you would have the Highway Department. Number 15 has to do with the wastewater pollution abatement trust. Normally, that would be the Board of Health. Articles 16 through 22 are all CPC. So I would recommend CPC do it, even though it is 4 separate different departments.
Yep.
There is, however,
That makes
I'm
sense.
sorry, Selectman Moreira, what were you guys?
No, go ahead.
Okay. There is one item that I do want to call your attention to. Article 17 and Article 20, there was a Scrivener's error that came over from the administrator that handles the CPC. So you can't tell it on this sheet, and it doesn't matter to the dollar amounts, but as you know, there are different buckets for CPC. One says open space, it was supposed to be historical. The other one says historical, it was supposed to say open space. So we are going to ask the reader to read the motion, and then either myself or legal counsel, or if a member of the board wants to discuss it, or she wants to discuss it, we just have to make a disclosure to the town, because the motion will have a different bucket than the warrant article actually says.
All right.
Other than that, it's the same dollar amount, it's just a swap. So these are all CPC. Article 23 has to do with other post-employment benefits, but for post-retirees, I would recommend the treasurer. Article 24 would be the police department for the web task force. The next handful of items are all capital budget ones. So Article 25 has to do with the town hall roof. Now, I have it as Board of Selectmen because you oversee the town hall. However, this has really been the Municipal Building Needs Committee that has done all the work and are in the best position to be able to discuss it. So I have not had the conversation with Art Cabral or Jim Holden about moving it, but I know that they would be in the best position to discuss it.
Absolutely.
So we may recommend that they actually are the ones that read it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a question about that. Didn't we get a quote in for 147 or something, and this is 95?
Correct. So we had funded $66,000 at a previous town meeting,
Oh, okay, yep.
and so we have roughly $46,000 left over, plus 95 is supposed to be able to cover $137,000, which is what they believe that the entire bill is potentially going to be.
Okay.
Article 26, I would recommend the school since it's a Spring Street roof, and the same thing with 27 and 28, and 29. Article 30 is for a dump body for the forestry department, forestry. Highway has the next handful of ones, so for dump body, 2 plow trucks and an F-250. Article 34 is from the library department. And then Article 35 is to fund the stabilization. I would recommend the Board of Selectmen, since you oversee all the finances.
Yeah, I will take that one.
One thing to keep in mind is that you will see that it's currently set at $1.109 million, which obviously is a nice large chunk of money. I always strategically place it at the end of all the capital budget items, because we fund all of our items now not borrowing, but by using free cash. So if something does not pass at town meeting, I would recommend that we
Offset.
increase that number to go back into the bank.
Okay.
So if something does not
It could
fly.
be another number.
It could be. So that's
Okay.
why if something doesn't pass, we're gonna need just a couple of seconds there to do the math and
John
make sure
usually
it's
does that,
accurate.
right?
Yeah, we'll do it and we'll check each other's math, but correct. Article 36 has to do with the municipal building needs. That is $50,000 that would go into their local account in case there are needs during the year. So I recommend municipal building needs. Article 40 is actually to accept a state law to allow cordial licenses. I would recommend the Board of Selectmen. Is there any individual that,
I'd be happy to do it.
okay. And Article 41 and 42 would both be the town clerk. They both pertain to animal control and dog leash bylaws to be consistent with state law. Article 37 through 39 all deal with the water department, so I would recommend the water department.
All right, does anyone have any questions on any of them?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve all with the assignments as mentioned as David was reading them.
So moved.
Is that also recommending that,
And recommend.
Recommending them all, correct.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
can we do two individually?
Sure. Well, if you have any exceptions, yeah. What would you like to exempt?
19 and 20?
Okay, so as of right now, 19 and 20 will be removed, and we'll discuss that after. All those in favor of accepting and recommending all but number 19 and 20?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, Anthony, go ahead.
I just don't agree with the idea that should be considered historical. I mean, I get that it's from a event that took place in 9/11, but just doesn't seem as significant, or not as significant, but as historical as some other things in town. And I just don't see how taking something from however many miles away and placing it there now makes that a historical park.
So, just so everybody, so you all understand, Article 19 requires an affirmative vote to designate the fact that a 9/11 memorial, which is a grave stone, or I shouldn't say that, a granite stone with an inscription, along with a beam from one of the World Trade Centers, they are both placed on that parcel of property, and you will be requesting, the CPC is requesting the town vote that those artifacts become historical artifacts significant to the town of West Bridgewater. If that vote is approved, excuse me, then the next one would allow funding to take place in order to be able to make installation and expansion and improvements. If that fails, then the next article, Article 20, is invalid and will not be even moved.
And on 20, that just seems like a substantial amount of money for that small area in front of the fire station, and I don't know, I feel like it could be used in better ways.
All right. Alvin?
I don't know, it's one of those things that, I know they've been trying to do this was a couple of years now, because we've had the beam for quite a while. And, I know it's a lot of money, but, you know, it just seems to be today that everything you touch there, it costs a lot of money, and, I myself, will vote for it, because I think it serves a significant purpose.
And it's already a nice looking little area. I just
Yeah, I
don't see
know. I
what
know.
$60,000.
I
How
did
much-
see some renderings. It's quite impressive, the renderings of the park they're proposing and the
Yeah.
expansion of the area.
Yeah, and
And, Again, I know $60,000 is a lot. I think we're all kind of surprised when we came up with the number,
Right,
but
right.
to do it right and make it substantial, I think it is gonna be a major cost, but, so Eldon, do you have a motion?
I have a motion to approve those, both articles.
Okay. Assume Anthony's not gonna second, so I will second, and, is there any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of recommending, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, it passes by majority. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, rescind antique license.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the vendor has not paid the application fee, has not responded to any communication from the office or the building inspector's office. Antique licenses run from May 1 to April 30th of every year. The board, in its attempt to be business-friendly, always takes its vote in mid-April and states that all licenses are approved, subject to all the legal requirements and conditions. She has unfortunately not replied or complied, and so at this point, the Assistant Town Administrator is recommending that we rescind the license.
Just a little background, I live right across the street. She hasn't, she had a baby and she hasn't, I don't believe she's open in the last 3 months that I know of. I think she hopes to get it back together, but as of right now, what can you do? I know the building inspector and fire department haven't been able to access the buildings to do their inspections either.
Correct.
Motion to rescind.
It's really rescinding because she really doesn't have one.
No, your vote in April actually approved the
Oh,
license.
pending, okay.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Transportation improvement?
Yep, so this here was Selectman Marrera asked me to place this on the agenda in reference to your priorities as a board for the upcoming tips list. If you provide a list to me.
We should have
then
some, I know we got a lot of things out here, I didn't mean cutting you off, Dave, but, something that, because, I know every year we establish that tip list up there, and we don't really have anything on there, and, other than we just, working there on 106, but they're putting the sidewalks, but we still have those intersections on that, so we ought to write some, priorities and have something to offer there, and get a hold of Charlie up there and line up, for future years.
How long,
It takes a while to get these things moving,
I'm gonna agree with you 100%. The two intersections are Matfield Street and East Street, 106 and 28.
Yeah, I think we,
But I'd also like to add funding for sidewalks.
sidewalks, yeah.
I think we
That's,
could use $1.5 million for sidewalks. I don't think we've added sidewalks in town on existing streets for years. We have River Street and South Street and all of 106 up to the East Bridgewater line. 106 is deadly if you try to walk up there. People always say, well, I don't see anyone walking up there. Well, you're crazy if you do. Because again, there is no sidewalks there. And I know River Street has been a priority, Howard Street, and it's something we've been talking about for years. Reverend Ashton had come in years ago. We had a little subcommittee that was trying to run, but there's no funding. So I think those three things need to be our priority.
yeah, because I'd like to get something on, because there's not really anything on this, tip list, and I certainly, want to get something moving there,
And I think we need to forward that on to our state senator and state representative also.
Yeah.
All right, so to be clear, what I've captured is funding for sidewalks and being able to include infrastructure at the Route 28 Matfield Street intersection and Route 106 East Street intersection.
That one was denied, right, last year, 2 years ago? East Street,
No, we had tried to
Didn't
get
they-
funding through the,
Community Compact?
no, through the casino,
Correct, exactly.
and that was denied.
Yeah, so when you submit it to when you submit it to the tips list, what they'll do is they don't really deny it, they'll just add items onto the bond bill. So in essence, if it's not there, it's denied, but so we have not been able to get any of these items funded. However, the center of town is an example that probably in 1928, you sent the original request and it finally got funded.
Yeah, so I just want to get, things moving.
I know, not that we want to move the other things off the priority list, but in a meeting with the police chief about how Elm Square, Hockomock square there. He says those lights are very, very antiquated. They can't run any special type of programming or anything in there, and that they're pretty much at the end of their life, so that would also,
Yeah, right.
that's a little bit easier because it's pre-existing, but he said that eventually really needs to be a priority.
So with that said, is there a preference in ranking that you would like me to do, or just add all of them to the list?
I think, I don't know, Eldon?
Well, the other thing is, I know we've asked a long time for that 106 down there where that person was killed down at that
Absolutely, I
intersection. That
agree.
should be, and of course, you know, we have that situation here on Matfield Street too. It's not a good situation. They back up pretty deep. And maybe the third would be the sidewalks, because they're definitely, that's how I look at it.
That order makes sense.
Yeah.
That
And
order
then,
makes sense.
Yeah,
Fourth would be Elm Square.
and Elm Square would be the fourth, yeah.
Good. I have that as a motion, Eldon?
Yeah,
That's
I'll move
okay.
that.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. FY eighteen and Open Space Recreation Committee appointments.
So, Mr. Chairman, before you on pages 45 through 58, you will see all the appointments that are before you. Yellow highlighted indicates areas that are vacant.
Did we hear back from most of the chair people on attendance?
There were only a couple that got back. There was one that there was a concern about, but before you, it's regarding the Open Space Committee,
Okay,
and there's a potential replacement there if you approve her this evening.
all right. Should we address that one first? Oh, it's all on the same.
Yeah, there is some correspondence in here from the Open Space Committee. The two individuals are Janice O'Brien, who would fill the unexpired seat of Kevin Parker, and Donna Connerty, who would fill Michael Curtin's position, who he resigned earlier this year.
Okay.
And so that corresponds to pages 56 through 58, if you want to review that. And then the rest of the FY '18 appointments are the preceding 10 pages.
Okay. We can take it as one motion, one vote to, for the appointments to fill those two positions.
All of them, again?
Can you make a motion on
The whole
that,
list?
Anthony?
I'd like to make a change,
Yeah.
eliminating the, sorry, one second. Let me find it.
I think,
The bylaw study committee.
I actually don't think that the way our bylaw study committee is made up right now actually makes sense. I know I talked to David in the past, that having a generic bylaw study committee that studies bylaws of all different avenues really doesn't make sense. I personally would like to see that board take off the books. If and when we have a proposed bylaw, I think it should really be a specialized appointment just for that bylaw. So if we have something to do with zoning, it should be people that are specialized in zoning. If it has something to do with building, it should be people with building. If it has to do with animals, it should be people involving animals. So I'd be more than happy just to
I'm in agreement.
vote to alleviate that in its current structure. And I know they get frustrated sometimes, things go to town meeting without going to them. I just don't think it's set, I know the intent's great. It just wasn't set up the right way.
Well, it's like last night where I went to that hearing on the dog kennel, and you can have 4 dogs at a house, huh? I mean, that's a lot of dogs. And, of course, the thing didn't go through last night, and it was a 4-1 vote. But then one of the individuals got up and, you know, the person that presented was fine, you know, you could probably trust, but my comment was, what's gonna happen if you set a president? Once that thing goes into a residential zone, it's gonna stay there. Now, if somebody sells the thing, they can't. So, one of the motions that was made to add one more dog, but that would have been a kennel. So, that kind of defeated the purpose of the whole thing. But I got a kick up. I think that 4 should be changed. That's too many dogs at one house.
I don't think you should be able to regulate how many dogs someone can have. Can't regulate how many kids.
Well,
Well, I think that the point is if that were to come up as a bylaw change, it really should be, if the committee's necessary, it would be a committee specialized that has knowledge in animal
well,
control.
if you have like 4 there for crying out, you almost have a kennel anyhow, you know, I mean, come on. And I know these people love the dogs and everything else, and they tow them behind you, you know, but that's my opinion anyhow.
Also on the Victor Flaherty Civic Award Committee, what we had declared years ago, and I don't think it's really followed that way, Eldon, I think it's always been left on you, is that the sitting chairman would serve on the following year's committee. So, for instance, this year, you're serving on that committee. I'll present the award at this year's town meeting,
There's
and then
no
I'll
award.
serve on the committee.
There's no
And
award.
then, oh, well, if there were,
There's no award because they didn't come up with anybody.
Yeah.
And
just want to
Yeah,
clarify
right.
that rotates.
another one really bothers me is Industrial Development Committee. They're a nothing committee. I mean, there's no movement going on. And from what I see here and just the correspondence I had here tonight there, I mean, you know, somebody just trying to really build some business there, really needs some help.
Well, let's take this, let's back up a little bit. I'll entertain a motion to strike the bylaw study committee.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, second, Eldon, you want to talk about the industrial development?
Yeah, and who's on that now?
Do you know what page that's on?
Because the gentleman that was on there, that was active there, he no longer lives in town. I mean, who are the proponents that are on that? I certainly would like to talk to him.
Is that the one that you're on?
Huh?
Is that the one that you're on?
As of right now, I don't think there's an appointment up this year.
No, I don't think anybody's been appointed there.
No.
Sure, it's a dead committee there. It certainly should be energized.
Do we see,
I don't see it on the list. I'm checking the
Yeah.
base
It's
data.
in alphabetical order, and I don't see it.
I'll volunteer to go on that committee. I mean, there's no committee. I mean,
It's not on the-
I'm basically doing that anyhow.
So we'll have to- It's not.
all right, let's table the industrial development committee till we can find out what's going on. I know we had sent some communication to Steve a few meetings ago, so other than that,
Okay, that's fine.
let's move along with all the appointments with the exception of industrial development, and we can act on that at the
So
next
moved.
meeting.
Actually, I have someone, if we wanted to fill the MBTA advisory. That one's
What?
vacant. MBTA Advisory Committee,
Oh, and that's another committee, yeah.
Advisory Board, sorry. Person would actually be my father. He's retired from the T 23 years and then went on to build the Blue Line cars.
Can he send in a letter? We can do the appointment at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
David, did we have a field driver was going to be on here, or is that later on?
Nope, it's in here, and let me just make sure that we've included her name.
Yes.
Okay.
We have, it's on page 48.
Okay, what I'd like to do, part of the recommendation is Paula Bunker to be one of our field drivers. Debbie Pocari, who happens to be Paula's sister, currently kind of acts as that position whenever the police department has loose farm life. Debbie usually goes out to help round up the cow or the bison or the sheep or whatever it is. And currently, she doesn't hold the position, so really, she's not covered if anything were ever to happen. So I'd like to add her name to the list, even though she's already doing it. We just never appointed her.
Wait, did you say Paula is field driver?
Paula's,
Isn't she on the list?
Paula's a new appointment, yes. But Debbie Pocari is not, who's currently doing the job, but it's never been appointed.
Oh, okay.
And Debbie Pocari happens to be Paula's sister.
So you wanna add,
So, yes,
so move then.
she's already been doing the job, and I know the police department appreciates everything she does.
Yeah.
All right. Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Keno policy.
So the board asked at one of its previous meetings, there was a discussion about why we always have to have the board weigh in every single time there's a request. The chairman asked as to whether or not we could have a blanket policy. So the blanket policy is before you, that basically states that the board will not object to any request for Keno. If the ABCC does request any type of letter in response, is that I will write it on your behalf and submit it immediately. And that way we don't hold any application up.
Okay. Thank you for getting that done for us. Any issues with that?
Nope,
Nope.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting schedules and important dates.
So
Second
you-
half of the year.
So you have already approved all the dates. The only question was whether or not you want to do August 11th as the appreciation date.
Anyone have any questions? I don't remember the reason we were holding off that decision.
I think because of me.
Okay.
And I don't think I checked my calendar. That's fine with me.
All right. August 11th will be the date. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What time?
12.
We do it
Yeah, we did it at 12.
12 o'clock.
Yeah, we did it at 12 at 12:30 last time, so 12 is fine.
I'm sorry, did somebody move?
Oh, Anthony, sorry. You officially second
I
that?
second it, yeah.
All right. Approve the meeting minutes of
Moved.
May 3rd.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Except for review, May 17th and May 24th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Correspondence from the, I don't think public comment period. Reports from boards, commission, committees, town officials.
Well, I'd like to bring up right now is there's a new one, the Enterprise, the canine dog, got all kinds of recognition.
Yes.
And I'd like to have some kind of a ceremony, I bring them before the Board of Selectmen. That's quite a,
What's funny, Eldon, when I saw the picture, I thought Taser was sitting in front of the table with everyone's trophies,
Yeah.
not realizing they were all Taser's trophies.
all it is.
That was pretty impressive. There couldn't have been many for other dogs.
So I think we should bring them in
Absolutely.
for recognition. We'll set it up.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All
All
right.
right, and why don't we just mention the Fireman's Memorial thing there Sunday? Is 9:30 at the Fireman's Boulder at the Pine Hill Cemetery, where they read the deceased firefighters, have a roll call. And I guess, Anthony, you've got to present that thing, or is that
The what?
Proclamation.
the proclamation?
Oh, I can do it if you don't want to. Doesn't matter.
Well, like I said, I think you said you would do it, but you know.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
No problem,
Yeah, no problem.
but as long as somebody's there to do it, you know. I usually attend anyhow, but, you know, if you can.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think I'll be out of town, but if I'm home, I'll be there.
Okay.
Correspondence from the public to determine a course of action. Notice of intent to sell and change use of Chapter 61A property located at 345 and 373 South Elm Street.
Yep, so the Alexander family has approximately 13 acres in 61A. They have sold it to a developer who is looking to develop it with 5 house lots that will comply with our traditional zoning. And the Planning Board, Board of Assessors, and Conservation Commission have already weighed in and have stated that there is no interest. The selling price for the property is $915,000.
I'm sorry, the 61A, 61B thing came up with the country club too, and I'm not entirely sure I understand it without wasting too much of the,
One's farming, one's recreation.
so it's now rated for farming or recreation, and they're gonna change it to residential?
No,
So-
it's the tax, it's the way it's taxed right now. That's all it is, not the zoning, it's just the taxing. So it'll come out of that, and when you take something out of 61A or B, the town has right of first refusal. So when it comes to us, it goes out to the numerous boards, commissions, committees, see if anyone has a reason they might want the property, which we've gone down that avenue a few times unsuccessfully. But once we did it very successfully. So, with that being said, it's just our right of first refusal.
So if the board is interested in going forward in an attempt to purchase it, I would need a vote for that. If the board is not interested in going forward to purchase it, I would ask for a vote on that instead.
I am not interested. I don't know how.
I'll make a motion that we take no action. I mean, I'll entertain a motion, we take no action.
So
Or
moved.
Show no interest, I mean.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, town administrators report. Oh, let's back up and we'll go over the Pan Mass Challenge fundraiser.
Sure. So this here is a fundraiser request from the Pan Mass Challenge. They are looking to have a one-day liquor and entertainment license for Saturday, July 15th, from 1 to 7 p.m. It would be in the rear piece of the property adjacent to the parking lot. They are expecting about 100 to 200 people. They have been notified that they would have to rope off the area and the other requirements that the state law requires. So before you, if you are so inclined to issue it, is that you would take an affirmative vote. I would ask that we have some conditions on it, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. The conditions that we'd be looking at is that they would have to certainly rope off the area, and that they would also have to work out with receiving or hiring a detail officer through the police chief. The police chief has approved it, subject to hiring a detailed officer. The parking is going to be across the street at Monty's, so people will be crossing Route 28. Obviously, if that could potentially be a dangerous situation, so, the Hardy family that is put in the initial request has already agreed to understand that they would have to hire a detail officer anyway, but we really should put that on the permit as well.
And if I might just add one point, Mallory asked that I communicate that they're also required to submit a plan, and she got word late this afternoon that they're gonna be sending that along, hopefully tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah, parking.
Okay, I think as long as the office is satisfied with the plan, I don't think we would have any problem with it.
David, do you know of any alcohol license violations in the past couple of years?
I am not aware. However, the license would actually be going to this PMC nonprofit agency, not to the Hardys. But it will, in reference to the Hardys, I'm unaware of any violations over the last handful of years.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve pending the plan.
Okay, is there any fee?
There is, that's a very good point. Normally, you would waive it being a nonprofit.
Would you make
And
that-
with waiving the fee.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Wish them luck. The administrators report.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a couple of good things just to let the board know and the public know is that we have officially closed on Riverbend. So that was a nice job by everybody. We closed officially on June 2nd. The chairman was at our legal counsel's office for 2.5 hours. And so we went through all of the settlement statements, closing documents, and everything has been closed. Checks have been handed over. And so we officially own the golf course. There's a lot of people to thank. You know, we had the ability to be able to preserve 167 acres at no cost to the town. I think this board showed really great leadership in championing the cause. On top of that, we had a nice ceremony at 2:45 at the golf course, in which one of our local vendors, Sandy Rose, donated the cake. And so again, that was a nice touch from them. I want to also thank the residents. We had close to 500 residents show up to a special town meeting. Selectman Kinahan and I put on a public forum that lasted 2.5 hours the week before to make sure everybody got educated. I think that we did a pretty good job with that because we motivated 500 people to show up. And even though I think it's a good thing that we had an affirmative vote, if 500 people showed up and it lost, that's okay. because that means that a good amount of people showed up, did their homework, and cast their votes. So I want to say thank you again to the board, but I want to say thank you to all of those residents that did show up and asked a lot of questions and were involved in the process. I think our town council did an exemplary job as well. It was a lot of work over many, many months. The finance committee did a really nice job, and at the end of the day, we could not have pulled, and I could not have pulled this off, and the board could not have pulled this off with all the support of Mallory and Tracy during the process, and also making sure that we all had a golf ball to hit, and the table and chairs set up, and the enterprise there, and other people from town as well. So I want to certainly say thank you to them, and again, thank you to
We
this
also
board for
have
your
the
support.
umbrellas there, just in case.
Eldon, I'm happy you were there, because I'm the only one, you're the only one who I hit the ball further than. You went very dangerous.
Let me tell you, at least I didn't throw it in the water.
Well, the funny thing is, Eldon, when I hit the ball, my son looked at me and goes, "Dad, your ball went really far." I said, "Cameron, it went in the pond." He goes, "I know, Dad, I was just trying to make you not feel bad." Because it didn't go so far, but it did wind up in the
It
water,
disappeared, right?
so.
And met with the new management company. President came in today, had a nice conversation with him. Very excited. These are professional people. They are down there working. They've already started to submit what they're looking to do going forward to make the place get a little bit nicer and better. I think we did a really nice job with this company. I'm really looking forward to their partnership over the next 20 years.
Again, a lot of people don't understand that we're not really managing the golf course ourselves, so I get a lot of feedback. And one of the big things people have been saying is, how about you make sure they do golf lessons, do golf lessons, do golf lessons? Well, today when he was in, I conveyed that to him, and he is working on it with his recreation chairperson that helps do those things. But I encourage people to go on their website. They do run specials. They have special days. They have coupons available and whatnot, from what I understand. So there'll be a lot of good things coming up, and I think they're going to be a great partner. And he was here listening to some ideas. Again, we're not doing the day-to-day management, but I think they're open up, like any business, are open to ideas to make it successful. So, all right, thank you, David.
Thank you. And the last update is in reference to Ajax Solar. You may recall that in December, we had a special town meeting where we entered into a pilot agreement. The town will receive almost $2.3 million for solar panels being placed up on a roof that nobody can actually see. It's a great deal. However, in the 11th hour, as part of the negotiations, we negotiated to make sure that they paid all of our legal fees and that they would have to send us a check for $10,000 in the month of May 2017. That check came in this week. It is being deposited and credited against our legal fees. But again, I think that this is a partner we're really going to be able to do really good business with in the future, with no hassles, aggravation, arguments. They forward over the check. And I just wanted to let the board know and the residents know, since we made that promise at special town meeting in December, that we received the money in.
Great.
Thank you, David.
Anyone have anything else? You have anything you'd like to say?
No.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Okay, hearing nothing else, all those in favor? Aye.